Ladies and gentlemen, I want to speak to you today about something we all face at some point in our lives: the fear of what's next. You see, fear whispers in our ears when we stand at the edge of the unknown. It tells us, you won't make it. You're not strong enough. The road ahead is too hard. But I want to tell you today, fear is a liar. It magnifies the uncertainty and tries to shake our faith. But listen. God has already gone before you. He isn't surprised by what you're facing. He isn't worried about your future. The same God who has carried you through every storm, every valley, every trial. You think He's going to stop now? No. Yes, life brings challenges. We will walk through dark valleys. But let me remind you of something. Valleys are not dead ends. They are passageways. You may feel pressed on every side, but you are not crushed. You may be struck down, but you are not destroyed. Why? Because your strength does not come from yourself. It comes from the one who created you. Some of you are standing at a crossroads. You're asking, what if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not enough? Let me tell you something. When you trust God, your future is not a question mark. It's a promise. The same hands that formed the stars, that calmed the sea, that raised the dead, those hands are holding you. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions we experience, and it has a way of gripping our hearts and minds, often when we least expect it. It thrives in uncertainty, feeding off our doubts and magnifying our insecurities. It whispers lies that make us question our abilities, our worth, and even our future. Fear tells us that we are not strong enough, that we are not capable, that the road ahead is too uncertain, too dangerous, or too difficult to walk. But fear is a liar. It distorts reality, making obstacles seem insurmountable, risks appear unbearable, and challenges feel like impossible burdens. It blinds us to the truth that we are never alone and that our future is not dependent on our own strength, but on the one who holds all things in his hands. When fear takes hold, it paralyzes us. It stops us from stepping forward into what we are called to do. It keeps us trapped in our comfort zones, afraid of failure, rejection, or hardship. It convinces us that if we can't see the whole path ahead, then we shouldn't take the first step. But faith tells a different story. Faith reminds us that our lives are not determined by fear, but by trust. It tells us that even when we don't know what's coming next, we can be confident that we are being led by the one who does. Faith does not require us to see the entire road. It simply asks us to take one step at a time, trusting that God will provide, guide, and sustain us as we go. Fear often disguises itself as wisdom. It makes us hesitate, overthink, and analyze every possible outcome until we convince ourselves to stay where we are. It tells us that playing it safe is better than stepping out in faith. But the truth is, the greatest moments of growth, breakthrough, and blessing happen when we refuse to listen to fear. Every great leader, every person who has ever achieved something significant has had to silence the voice of fear and step forward in faith. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They didn't wait until they had all the answers. They moved forward despite their fears, believing that they were being led by something greater than themselves. There are countless examples of people who refuse to be defined by fear. They faced uncertainty, obstacles, and even failure, but they chose to believe in something greater. They chose faith over fear, and when they did, they discovered that the things they feared the most were never as powerful as they seemed. The unknown did not destroy them. The challenges did not defeat them. Instead, they were strengthened, refined, and equipped for even greater things. Fear also lies to us by making us believe that we are alone. It isolates us, making us think that no one understands what we are going through, that no one has ever faced what we are facing. But faith reminds us that we are never alone. It reminds us that we are surrounded by a presence greater than our fears, a strength greater than our weaknesses, and a love that never fails. Faith reassures us that even in the darkest moments, even in the seasons of uncertainty, we are held by hands that will never let us go. One of the most powerful truths about faith is that it allows us to see beyond what is immediately in front of us. Fear keeps us focused on the problem, but faith lifts our eyes to the promise. Faith tells us that the mountain is too high, but faith tells us to start climbing it. Fear says that the storm is too strong, but faith reminds us that even the wind and waves obey the voice of God. Fear tries to convince us that we will be overcome, but faith declares that we are more than conquerors. When we allow faith to guide us instead of fear, we begin to live with a different perspective. We stop seeing obstacles as dead ends and start viewing them as opportunities for growth. We stop worrying about the future and start trusting that the same God who has been faithful in the past will continue to be faithful in the days ahead. We stop letting fear control our decisions and start walking in boldness, confidence, and trust. Fear is a liar, but it only has power when we choose to believe it. The moment we recognize its deception and replace it with faith, we break free from its grip. We step into a life that is not ruled by worry or hesitation, but by the assurance that our future is secure in the hands of the one who loves us, leads us, and will never fail us. Life is full of uncertainties, and change is one of the only constants we can expect. There are moments when we stand at a crossroads, unsure of what lies ahead. We wonder if we are making the right choices, if we are heading in the right direction, or if we will have the strength to endure what's coming next. It is in these moments that fear and doubt try to creep in, telling us that we are on our own, that the future is unknown, and that we must figure everything out by ourselves. But that is not the truth. The truth is that God goes before us. He is not only with us in the present, but has already gone ahead, preparing the way for us. He is not surprised by the challenges we face, nor is he unaware of the struggles we will encounter. He has already made a way, even when we cannot yet see it. When we walk into seasons of change, it is easy to feel as though we are stepping into the unknown. We cannot predict what will happen next, and that uncertainty can feel overwhelming. But God knows every detail of what is to come. He sees the path ahead, and not only does he see it, but he has already walked it before us. He knows the roadblocks we will face, the detours we may have to take, and the challenges that will arise along the way. And because he goes before us, he is already working behind the scenes, making a way where there seems to be no way. So often we assume that when we face difficulties, it must mean that something has gone wrong, that we have made a mistake, or that we are off course. But what if the obstacles we encounter are not signs of failure, but part of the preparation? What if the hardships are not there to stop us, but to strengthen us for what lies ahead? God does not promise a life without challenges, but he does promise that we will never have to face them alone. He is ahead of us, making a way, aligning the right opportunities, and equipping us with what we need before we even realize we need it. Think about the moments in life when you were unsure of how things would work out, yet somehow everything came together in ways you never expected. That is not coincidence, that is the hand of God, working in advance to provide for you, to guide you, and to lead you exactly where you need to be. Sometimes we may not see his hand right away. We may walk through seasons where it feels like we're wandering, where we question whether he is truly guiding us, but even in those moments, he is there, shaping our path, removing obstacles we never even knew existed, and setting things in motion long before we arrive at the next step. God going before us means that he has already secured our future. No matter what doors close, what changes come, or what uncertainties we face, nothing is outside of his plan. We may not always understand why certain things happen, why we experience loss, or why we have to walk through difficult seasons, but we can trust that he has a purpose in it all. He is working everything together for our good, even when we cannot yet see the full picture. There is incredible peace in knowing that we do not have to have everything figured out. We do not have to carry the burden of knowing every answer or solving every problem. Our role is to trust, to take steps of faith, and to believe that even when we don't know the way, God does. He has already prepared what we need, and at the right time, he will reveal it to us. He will place the right people in our path, provide the right resources, and open the right doors. When we trust that he has gone before us, we can move forward with confidence instead of fear, with faith instead of anxiety, and with the assurance that our future is already secured in his hands. Life may be unpredictable, but God is not. His plans for us are not random. They are intentional and full of purpose. He sees the bigger picture, and he knows what is best for us. We may not always understand the path we are on, but we can be sure that if God is leading us, it is the right path. No matter what changes come, no matter what uncertainties we face, we can rest in the truth that God is already ahead of us, preparing the way. Trials are an inevitable part of life. No one is exempt from difficulties, setbacks, or moments of hardship. At times, it may feel as if we are being tested beyond our limits, as if the weight of our struggles is too heavy to bear. When we face challenges, our first instinct is often to ask why. Why is this happening to me? Why now? Why does life seem so unfair? In those moments, it is easy to believe that our trials are meant to break us, that they are obstacles designed to destroy us. But the truth is, trials are not meant to weaken us. They are meant to strengthen us. What may appear to be a setback is often a setup for something greater. When we go through difficulties, it can be hard to see beyond our immediate pain. Challenges have a way of blinding us to the bigger picture, making us feel as if we are stuck in a place of suffering with no way out. But trials are not meant to keep us down. They are meant to build us up. Just like fire refines gold and pressure creates diamonds, struggles refine our character, shape our resilience, and prepare us for greater things ahead. The very thing that seems to be working against us may actually be working for us in ways we cannot yet understand. Growth rarely happens in comfort. If everything in life was easy, if we never faced difficulties, we would never develop strength, endurance, or perseverance. Trials push us beyond our limits, forcing us to grow in ways we never thought possible. They teach us patience when we are forced to wait, humility when we realize we cannot do everything on our own, and faith when we have no choice but to trust that there is a greater plan at work. Some of the most successful, resilient, and inspiring people in history did not become who they were because life was easy for them. They became great because they faced hardships and overcame them. When we face trials, we have two choices. We can let them break us, or we can let them build us. We can allow them to make us bitter, or we can use them to make us better. The way we respond to struggles determines whether they will be the thing that holds us back or the thing that propels us forward. Setbacks are often disguised as stepping stones. What looks like failure may actually be redirection. What seems like the end of the road may actually be the beginning of a new path, one that leads to something greater than we ever imagined. There are times when things do not go the way we planned and it feels like everything is falling apart. We lose a job, a relationship ends, an opportunity we were hoping for does not work out. In those moments, it is easy to feel defeated, to believe that we have lost something valuable. But what if, instead of seeing these moments as losses, we saw them as preparation? What if the setback was actually a setup for something greater? What if the closed door was making way for a better one to open? We often hold on to things that were never meant for us, and sometimes trials are the very thing that pushes us toward what is truly meant to be. The greatest lessons in life often come from the hardest moments. We may not see it right away, but every trial carries with it an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. Hardships teach us things that success never could. They build resilience, strengthen our character, and deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. When we look back on our lives, we often realize that the moments we thought were our worst were actually the turning points that led us to where we were meant to be. Difficult seasons do not last forever, but the strength we gain from them does. When we endure trials, we come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what lies ahead. Every struggle we overcome becomes proof that we are capable of more than we thought. Every challenge we face becomes a story of perseverance that we can carry with us for the rest of our lives. What once seemed impossible becomes a testimony of endurance, reminding us that we are not defined by our struggles, but by how we rise above them. Setbacks are not the end of the story. They are often just the beginning of something new. When we face challenges, we must remember that they are not there to destroy us. They are there to shape us, to strengthen us, and to prepare us for the greater purpose ahead. Even when things do not make sense, even when the road is difficult, we can trust that every trial has a purpose. What looks like a setback is often a setup for something far greater than we can imagine. Courage is often misunderstood. Many believe it means having no fear, being bold in the face of uncertainty, or having complete control over a situation. But true courage does not come from knowing every detail of what lies ahead or from having power over every outcome. It comes from trust in the one who holds the answers even when we do not. The greatest acts of courage do not come from those who have everything figured out, but from those who step forward in faith, believing that even in the unknown, they are not alone. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how much we try to plan, prepare, or anticipate, we will always face situations that are beyond our control. There will be seasons when the path ahead is unclear, when the road is rocky, when the future seems uncertain. In those moments, our natural response is to grasp for control. We want to fix things, solve problems, and find guarantees that everything will turn out the way we hope. But control is an illusion. No matter how tightly we try to hold on to life, there will always be things we cannot change, outcomes we cannot predict, and circumstances we cannot fully understand. When we rely on control, fear becomes our constant companion. We worry about what might happen, we stress over the unknown, and we exhaust ourselves trying to manage things that were never ours to manage in the first place. The more we try to control everything, the more anxious we become, because deep down we know that control is slipping through our fingers. But when we shift our focus from control to trust, everything changes. Trust allows us to release our grip, to surrender the need to have all the answers, and to believe that even when we do not understand, there is a greater plan at work. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. It is stepping into the unknown, not because we have every detail figured out, but because we believe that we are being led by the one who does. It is choosing faith over fear, surrender over control, and trust over worry. It is understanding that we do not have to know every step of the journey to take the first one. The greatest acts of courage are not always loud and dramatic. Sometimes they are the quiet moments of choosing to trust when everything inside us wants to run. Throughout history, the most courageous individuals were not those who had everything under control, but those who walked forward with trust. They faced impossible odds, uncertain futures, and overwhelming challenges. Yet they pressed on, not because they had all the answers, but because they trusted in something greater than themselves. Their strength did not come from their ability to manipulate circumstances or predict outcomes, but from their willingness to surrender control and believe that they were not alone. There will be times when we feel unprepared, unqualified, or unequipped for the journey ahead. We will face moments when we want to shrink back in fear because we do not know what the future holds. But courage reminds us that we do not have to have everything figured out to take the next step. We do not need to know the entire plan to trust the one who holds it. Even when we cannot see the road ahead, even when the destination is unclear, we can move forward with confidence, knowing that we are being guided by a hand far greater than our own. The greatest peace comes not from controlling life, but from trusting the one who controls it. When we release our need for certainty and embrace faith, we find freedom. We are no longer burdened by the weight of having to figure everything out on our own. We are no longer consumed by worry about what the future may hold. Instead, we can walk in courage, knowing that our lives are in hands that are steady, strong, and sure. We do not have to fear the unknown, because to God, nothing is unknown. Courage is not about eliminating uncertainty. It is about embracing trust. It is about believing that even in the midst of chaos, there is purpose. Even when we feel lost, we are being led. Even when we cannot see the way is being made for us. We do not have to have all the answers. We only need to trust the one who does. Purpose is one of the most powerful forces in life. It gives direction, meaning, and motivation to keep moving forward, even in the face of obstacles. Yet when hardships arise, when failures come, and when fear whispers that we are not enough, it is easy to question if our purpose is still intact. We wonder if we have messed up too much, if we have strayed too far, or if our setbacks have disqualified us from the future we once dreamed of. But the truth is, no obstacle, no failure, and no fear can stop God's plan for our lives. Our purpose is unshakable, not because of our own strength, but because it is established by the one who never fails. Life is filled with unexpected turns, disappointments, and moments of uncertainty. There are times when we feel stuck, when our dreams seem distant, and when our confidence is shaken. In those moments, it is tempting to believe that our mistakes have ruined our destiny, or that the challenges we face have somehow cancelled the calling on our lives. But God's plans are not dependent on our perfection. They are not thrown off course by a wrong turn, nor are they destroyed by temporary setbacks. What He has set in motion cannot be undone by human failure. No matter how many times we stumble, His purpose for us remains. Obstacles are a part of every journey. They test our endurance, challenge our faith, and sometimes make us question if we're on the right path. But obstacles are not roadblocks to our destiny. They are part of the process that shapes us for it. Every difficulty we encounter is an opportunity for growth. Every challenge is an invitation to trust. And every closed door is a reminder that the right door will open in the right time. What looks like a delay is often divine preparation. What seems like an end is often the beginning of something greater. Failure is another lie that tries to convince us that our purpose is no longer possible. We all make mistakes. We all fall short at times. But failure is never final unless we allow it to be. Some of the greatest success stories in history were born out of failure. The difference between those who fulfill their purpose and those who give up is not the absence of failure, but the willingness to rise again. God does not discard people because of their failures. He redeems, restores, and uses even the broken pieces for His glory. What we see as a setback, He sees as an opportunity to shape us, teach us, and lead us towards something even better than we imagine. Fear is one of the biggest enemies of purpose. It whispers doubts, magnifies insecurities, and tries to keep us from stepping into the fullness of what we were created for. Fear tells us that we are not ready, not capable, and not worthy. It makes us hesitate when we should move forward. It convinces us to shrink back instead of rise up. But fear is a liar. It has no power unless we believe it. The moment we choose faith over fear, we step into the strength that has been available to us all along. We do not have to have all the answers. We do not have to know every step ahead. We simply have to trust that if God has called us, He will equip us. If He has given us a purpose, He will make a way. Even when life feels uncertain, our purpose remains secure. The world may change, circumstances may shift, but what God has spoken over our lives does not waver. His plans are not fragile. They do not crumble under pressure or disappear when things get difficult. They stand firm because they are built on His unshakable foundation. When we trust in that truth, we can walk forward with confidence, knowing that nothing can take away what He has prepared for us. No obstacle can stop us because God makes a way. No failure can disqualify us because His grace is greater. No fear can hold us back because His power is within us. Our purpose is not dependent on circumstances, opinions, or even our own mistakes. It is anchored in something far greater than ourselves. No matter what comes against us, no matter how many times we fall, no matter how uncertain the road ahead may seem, our purpose remains. It is unshakable, unstoppable, and secured by the hands of the One who never fails. So don't fear what's next. Lift your head, walk in faith, and know this: the best is yet to come. Amen.